Hello, this is going to be a video with some basic introduction Photoshop skills. The first thing I want to show you, excuse me, is that I opened a document by going in my Photoshop and saying open and picking an image that I'm interested in. So let me grab, this is Pretty Pink Sky. Actually, let me get something, get this. Okay, and then I'm going to say open. So now you see this was the image that I had opened originally. I went to File, Open, and opened a different one. So I want to get you started with every time you're going to be working on an image to open it in a new tab. So when you look at this image, I have layers open, and this image is locked right here now. So if I go to remove this background, which is one of the things I want to do, and I'm going to use this magic wand to remove this background. Notice it's a nice consistent blue. So this tool worked really well. See the way it grabbed most of that blue except for this little piece? There are a few other tools that work really well for silhouetting. I'm going to go to the rectangular tool here and click on the desktop away from the image to clear. And whenever you're sort of stuck where something doesn't seem to be working, a good thing to do is go to this rectangular marquee tool, just click on the background, and maybe something was selected and you want to release that. So I'm going back to my tools here, and I'm going to show you the quick selection tool. This allows me to sort of go around and add similar colors. I'm going to unclick, go to the marquee, click, and show you how it can work on something else. So this red pole, for example, so see the way it starts to, as I move around, it starts to pick up other things. So depending on how complicated your image is, different tools work better. So, and then the last one is the object selection tool, which does this sort of pink thing. I just clicked and I'm letting it do its thing, so it's searching around trying to find stuff that's similar. So here as I go around, it's blue right now instead of pink, so it's not finding that background because that background is pretty blank, so it's finding more objects. So you can see different tools of these three tools in this menu bar right here, and you're clicking on this little teeny tiny arrow there to select the different ones. Sometimes it takes a little while to get used to where exactly the hot spot is to click. So the magic wand worked really well for this blue sky. It was really pretty even, and there's one spot that's not showing up, so I'm going to hold down my shift key and click on that one little spot, and it didn't quite get it. Oh, there it did. Okay, so I'm good. So now what I'm going to do is I've got this background is still showing, so I'm going to hit delete, and notice I get this image here. This isn't what I want. I want to completely delete, and it's giving me other options that don't let me do that. I'm going to hit cancel. I am going to release this locked layer by just double clicking on the layer and saying okay. So now I'm still here with this, and I'm going to hit delete. So notice this time it deleted my image, and I've got this checkerboard background. That tells me that the background is actually transparent, which is important because if it's white, that is white. It's not transparent. So you need to see the checkerboard if you want to make something nice and clean and get rid of it. Also, I've just noticed here there's a little tiny bit of the blue in here, so I can go and just click there, hit delete. Great. So now I have the Chicago style here over here, and I want to cut windows in these, cut these windows, make them delete. So I'm going to hit delete. See that happened? Because I didn't unclick, just double clicking there, and I hit delete. Actually, what happened though, when I deleted that, I accidentally got this foreground color in there. So I'm going to grab this again and hit delete. So I've got these two blank windows here. Here I've got this blank sky. I am going to go into File. I'm going to open a new image. See, again, I'm opening totally new images, and I'm going to pick this pink sky. I'm going to say OK. So now I'm going to select this pink sky by grabbing some of it here. I can grab as much as I want right now. And I'm going to use some command keys. Under Edit, you see Copy, Cut, and Paste is Command V. So these under Edit, but I use the command keys, so I am going to use Command C to copy that. And I'm going to go over here. And now you see I have one layer. I am going to go Command V, which is going to paste another layer. Now I'm getting this message that this is RGB and my other is another format. I'm just going to say OK for right now. So notice it has put this lovely sky in the background. I am going to, and this white shows me which layer I'm actually on, that white box there. I am going to drag it below here, and so now I can see those windows showing up there. So I can do the same thing here. I can go Command V, because I still have it copied, and paste it there and drag it behind here. Now, if I want to move this background a little bit, I see a little bit of pink here and I want to show more of that. So I'm switching to the Move tool, and I can move that around. So again, I'm on this layer and I can move that to where I want it to be. But say I'm starting to get a little bit of this image showing here that I don't want, but maybe I really want that pink sky there. So I'm going to hit Command and the minus sign to delete out a little bit. So you notice the way you saw that pink line that's showing where that art is. I am going to go up under Edit. You see it says Transform or Free Transform, Command T. I'm going to hit Command T, and this blue line shows me where that image is. And so I can move that to make it bigger or smaller. If I hover in the corner, I can actually rotate it. So maybe I want to rotate that. And if I hold the Shift key, it keeps it in percentages, which helps sometimes. And so I can move this around. And then when I like it, I can let it go and I can click this check mark, which will set it. Or if I go to do something else, sometimes it's fine. It takes it, you don't have to hit that check mark. So this is layering two different images here. So I can continue to open files and copy them and paste them, and I can get different things going on in here. I'm going to go back to this image here, and I am actually I want to have this image without anything else. So I'm going to go here, File, Open. Let me get these rocks. Okay, I can hit Open. So now I have these rocks, and I want to show you a few more techniques. So I am going to go to Image, and I'm going to Mode. So this image was RGB. RGB is red, green, blue, and that's what you have on, that's light. So a screen, a pad, your phone, all of those things are RGB because they're light. And when you go to print something, it's CMYK, which is the color fountains that are in a colored printer. So for purposes of working early stages, it doesn't matter whether you're in one or the other. But I am going to switch to CMYK for a moment to further my demonstration. I can just say OK. So I am going to go up to Image, and I'm going to go to Adjustments. So again, where Mode was where I switched to CMYK, and I have Adjustments here, and I am going to go to Brightness and Contrast, and you can see I can brighten something, darken it, and I can play with the contrast. And I'm going to leave it the way it was, so I can just hit Cancel, or I can say OK. I hit Cancel, so it reverts to where it was. I am going to now go in here, and I'm going to go to Curves. Curves and levels work very similarly. I'm going to show you curves. I have CMYK here, so I'm going to move out of the way so you can see my image. I've got Preview selected here. So notice I can pull here and it's moving all that CMYK, and if I change this curve, move it around, it changes how, it's not just the straight lightness and darkness it was before, it's changing the light areas, depending on where I am, are brightening up and dark areas are, it's got more nuances to it. It's not straight across. It's doing the lights, the midtones, and the light areas, dark lights and mids. I am going to now just do that with cyan. So I'm going to pull this and notice it's just pulling the cyan out of my image. And here it's pumping the cyan up. So I can also, move this over a little so you can see a little bit more. I am going to add another point here and I can play with these curves. So again, it's playing with those midtones. See the way it's got more of a funky feel. You can see the blue in parts of the water and parts of it's not being taken out. So I can do this individually for each color. So I can pull out the yellow. Sometimes you might have an image that's taken in poor lighting indoors and it's too yellow. So I would just go in here and pull out the yellow. Sometimes this is a cool outdoor picture. Maybe I want it to feel a little warmer, make it feel like it's a sunny day. And I might add a little yellow. If I want to warm it up, I might also add a little magenta. So that's how you can change curves. And levels are very much the same. Some people like to work with one more than the other. I prefer to use curves, but some people like to use levels. So this is doing the midtones. It's the darker tones and that's the darker tones. I forget which is which, so I just play around with them sometimes until I get something I want, and when I like it, I can say okay. All right. So another thing I'm going to show you under image, I can go to mode and I can change to be completely grayscale. It's going to get rid of all the color information. I'm going to say okay. So now it's a black and white image. So I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to go and make it a duotone. Duotone has two colors. When you first open it, it may say monotone when you do it the very first time. So you can get tri, quad. So I just click here and it lets me pick any color from the picker. And so if I want to make it a duotone, switch to duotone, it gives me an option of another color. So what I have here is an image. Oops, I meant to make that blue, sorry. There's a blue. So you can see I'm getting red and blue in here. And again, here's these curves, so I can click here and it can pull out or add that blue to different levels. I can say okay when I like it, and I can do the same thing with the red. So I click on that curve and pull that. So that's how you can make a duotone. I'm going to hit cancel, and if I want this to be color again, once you put something into grayscale, if I go to CMYK, it turned it to black and white. So it is giving me CMYK in here. If I go back to adjustments and play with these curves, I would be pulling out the magenta from that image. So it is actually CMYK, but it's not going to restore it back to what my image was before. So we have a little great trick. You know, you can do Command Z to undo things, but in Photoshop, we have histories. So we can go back to different stages. So that's a really great thing that you have within this. So I think this has been a quick introductory for you. And one other thing I need to show you. So I've been pulling up all these images and they're all different sizes. So if I go into image size, I can manage exactly what size this picture is. So all of our pictures, we want to make them 300 DPI. That's the standard quality image. So notice this was 38 megabytes. What happened was my image was very large. So let me cancel this again and go back and show you where we started again. I'm going to go to image size. So it started out 38 inches by 50 inches. And I changed this to 300. So it kept that size. And so it's gone from 38 megabytes to 661 megabytes. I don't need this image to be that big. I need it to be 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to make it 8.5, and then it's a little more than 11, and that's fine. I just need it to be at least 8.5 by 11 in each dimension, in one dimension, okay? So I'm going to say okay, and notice it's going to be 33 megabytes, and it was 38, so it's going to work out just fine. So if I go to the pink sky here, and I look at this image is image size, and it's 180. I'm going to make it 300, and I don't need it to be this big. I'm going to make it 8.5. And so this image, so notice the height, this was a horizontal image, so I will make this 11, so it's going to be wider, but at least I get that 11 in there, and now it's 41 megabytes. I'm going to say okay. So now the reason why I'm showing you this is because I've got, I forget which image I adjusted, let me see. So I changed, sorry, this one, okay. So I am going to open a new document, File, New, and I am going to not have pixels. I'm going to change it to inches because you'll recognize inches, and I am going to make it 8.5 by 11 inches, 300 dpi. Let's make that 11. Okay, here we go. So it's going to be a new document, and it's RGB. That's fine. I'm going to hit create. So here's my blank. So if I went up to image size, it says 8.5 by 11, 300 dpi. Okay. So I am going to take these beach rocks, and I'm going to select it. I'm dragging over the image. So I just click and drag over, Command C to copy. I go to my untitled image, and I hit Command V to paste it. Okay, I'm going to go to my layers, which I accidentally deleted. Sorry. If I accidentally delete something, I can find it again by going to Window, and there's my layers. So here I've got my background. Here's one layer. I'm going to go and grab this pink sky that I adjusted. So I'm going to say Select All, Copy. I'm going to click back on Untitled. I'm going to do Command V. Command V again. So here's my image. So here now I have layers. So here this image is wider, so I can move that around. And I can drag a layer down. So if I would like to make this snow down here, perhaps this pink, I can use these tools that I showed you again. So I'm going to use the quick selection tool, and I'm going to see it's grabbing the darker snow and the lighter snow. I'm going to go over here and get all that light snow. Now if I go to hit delete, it did delete it because I wasn't on that background layer. Okay, it was just if I tried to delete that background layer. So now I can see I've got this window here, and I want to show this sky. So I've got this selected, so I'm going to go back to here, this rectangle tool. I'm going to unclick. I'm going to the Move tool. I'm going to click on this layer, and I'm going to move my sky down. So now I've got my snow looks like this sky. Okay, so I've shown you a lot, but you can stop and start and look, or rewind, so that you can catch up or look at what you need to do to help you get started. Okay, good luck.